Welcome to the England Rugby Pod. Thanks for downloading episode 107. So the Six Nations squad has now been announced. So we're going to compare our predictions and see how close we came. You're listening to the England Rugby Pod, the rugby podcast that believes England will win the World Cup in 2019. Hey guys, welcome back. As promised, another weekly episode. We've just about scraped in time to ensure that we are sticking to our one a week promise for 2019. And I'm joined, of course, by Dan. Hi, mate.
Hello, mate. And we are getting very close to the start of the Six Nations. I love the Six Nations. So there's a few things to talk about, which is good.
There is. Before we get cracking, and obviously, the squad's been announced for the Six Nations, so yeah, lots to talk about there. But as always, let's crack on with some reviews. We've had a few, and being as organised as I am, I have obviously got them in front of me right now, and I'm not just talking in order to waste a bit of time while I load the page that has the reviews on it, because that would obviously be incredibly unprofessional. So, without further ado, I'll obviously just turn to this page, which has been open all along.
All from the start, mate.
From the start, and just read you the most recent reviews. And here they are.
Well done.
Thanks. First up, from Allstoff, who gave us 5 stars. He titled his review a dog-walking masterpiece. He says, great fun to listen to whilst traversing the Surrey Hills during an evening jaunt. 2 gents who are passionate about England rugby, enjoy the team's success and share our crippling disappointment when things don't go our way. Some shortcomings with player injury knowledge and location of certain matches, Dan, but makes for all the more entertainment when acknowledged on the following pod. Ever improving and very much enjoy the live game pods. Tip of the hat to you, sirs.
That's an excellent review. I like that. Thank you very much. But there was no knowledge. There was no bad knowledge about locations. I know England Islands at Twickenham, so it's not.
Yeah, no, I think we've done that particular one.
I hope people realise that.
But yeah, no, fair comment. But like he says, we do acknowledge our mistakes, unlike some pods.
That's because the other pods don't make mistakes.
But that's also a possibility. The next one, again, 5 stars. Ellis Genge does exist, says Budgie Jointed. Ellis Genge is one of the 4 best props in the country and has to be in the 23 when fit. I don't think I'm arguing with him there.
No, I think that's a really good point.
Well, I'd maybe say he has to be in the 23 when fit. Yeah, maybe. It's a difficult one to. It's a difficult one to kind of argue when injuries are concerned, isn't it? Because they take away any weight that an argument would have, because no one's saying that it's not the case. Obviously, he needs to get fit. He needs to stay fit. He needs to have been fit for a period of time, and then we need to see where Eddie Jones's head is at, and obviously see what the alternatives have done in the meantime. And so far, the props haven't looked too bad. So we'll keep an eye on that one. But I certainly agree. There's no question he's definitely competing for a spot there. And when fit, watch this space.
Yeah, it's the thing about Ellis Genge, I didn't realise until recently, it's been a little while, but how highly rated he was across the board. The amount of, everyone was always like, oh, this guy's great, But for years, this guy's been rated, as almost as it's something special. And
I should point out, by the way, especially following the review that we just read out, he obviously isn't injured now. So we are at that point where we're going to find out where Eddie Jones's head is at. Yeah. I'm not saying... he's injured still.
He's not injured in the squad, but has he had enough game time this season? Because for me, I feel like with prop, so someone like Dan Cole, who I think his form's been consistent, and you're starting to build sort of momentum and trust in him. Whereas I feel sometimes if you're relatively new back from injury, it's hard to say exactly what form you're on, because you could come back have an absolute cracking couple of games,
Yeah,
but that doesn't necessarily mean your form's going to be great. It may just be.
I mean, the thing with Dan Cole, I mean, probably over a year ago we were saying, he's the last of the old dog and the old guard, and probably, isn't going to be the future of England rugby, and probably won't make the World Cup. So to see him back in contention is obviously interesting. I'm not sure. I guess there's a balance, isn't there, between experience and kind of. I guess the type of player that you are, props have changed. What a top side, what a World Cup winning side looks like in their front row is very different to what it was 5 years ago. We know that Eddie Jones has got his eye on trying to create some sort of, universal rugby player that can play in any position. We'll come on to that later, but.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know whether or not we will actually see Dan Cole involved in the 23. Certainly in any of the big games, but I wonder whether the experience is more valuable within the wider squad. I don't know. It's difficult to say. Like you say, his form is consistent, so you know what you're getting. He obviously has a lot of experience in an England shirt. But it does feel a little bit like a step backwards. So I don't know. This is our extreme knowledge of the front row coming into play here.
Yeah, exactly. I think we want to be careful with the front row. I think Dan Cole, his callback I like because I think he's earned it. It'll be interesting to see who they pick. So with Ellis Genge, my argument is not whether he should be in the 23 if fully fit, because I agree with that statement. It's perhaps is his aerobic fitness up to international standard. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. We'll soon find out.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, these days, it's not just a case of watching them play games. They've got so much technology to tell them exactly where players are in terms of their fitness. They'll be doing all sorts of things to work out, whether or not the time is right for him, and either he'll pass the fitness test or he won't. And yeah, if Mr. Jointed believes that is correct, in saying that Ellis Genge should be in the 23, then fitness will be the determining factor, and we'll find that out in probably a few weeks' time. So yeah, we'll watch this space. And finally, from Bob at 23, it's another one. The name I recognise, so I think we've heard from him before, but he's updated his review. He says, "Keep it up, guys. 5 stars. Another great pod. Buzzing for the Six Nations. Looking forward to more from you both. Come on, England. Also, I'm really enjoying the quizzes you guys are doing, which is great to hear, and leads us nicely into our next segment, because I have prepared a quiz for you, Dan.
Oh, here we go. Oh God, this could end badly.
Well, it's on a subject that I think that you feel quite strongly about. It's one I believe you should. Well, we'll see. It's not the easiest quiz, I won't lie. But it's all about the England 2003 World Cup winning squad, specifically, bar the first question, the final, the game against Australia.
Mate, in which case we could do the quiz, but you might as well just give me all the marks anyway.
Well, let's see how you get on. So guys, we'll go through the answers at the end so you can all play along. Keep letting us know what you like, and obviously, if you've got if there's a quiz in mind, if there's something you'd like us to put together, let us know what you'd like, what sort of quiz you'd like us to do, because I think this is quite a fun little interlude. So yeah, on to question number 1 then. The only question I'm doing that's about the World Cup, the whole of that World Cup campaign in general, rather than the final itself. And the question is this: only one member of England's 2003 Rugby World Cup squad played every minute of every game.
Lawrence Dallaglio.
Who was it?
Lawrence Dallaglio.
You're saying Lawrence Dallaglio. Okay, well, we'll come back to the answers at the end. I've made a little note. Question number 2. Who made the most metres in the 2003 Rugby World Cup final?
Oh, the most metres in the rugby. Who am I going to go
not necessarily an England player, but in that final game, who made the most metres?
Lottie Takuri.
Kiri, right, we'll come back to that one. Question number 3. Which English player missed the most tackles during the game?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I'll give you. We'll make it multiple choice on this occasion. So you can have Mike Tyndall, Phil Vickery, Matt Dawson, or Ben Kay.
I'm going to go Phil Vickery just because he's a fatty and maybe they ran around him.
And for a bonus point, how many did he miss?
Oh, bloody hell.
Bonus point is a guess.
Brutal. 4.
You're saying 4.
No. Let me change that. 2.
You're saying 2. Okay. Question number 4. What was the score at the full-time whistle, obviously before extra time was played? Should be an easy one for you.
14 all.
You're saying 14 all.
That's 1-4.
1-4, 1-4. Number 5. Which team missed the most tackles during the game? Now, I will say there's been some conflicting data here. So we're going with what I've landed on. There is a bonus point for the number, but it's probably a bit pointless to do it because.
Hang on. So what you're asking me here is...
Guess what I found out.
These questions are brutal. Which team missed most tackles? Yeah, there are 2 different answers for this. Okay, I'm going to say Australia.
Okay. But do you want to risk a bonus point and go with a number?
What have I got to lose by not risking?
What?
Okay, I will go with that. 8.
8 missed tackles. Okay. Number 6. Who was England's top tackler over the 100 minutes?
Oh, for God's sake. These are stats. These are stats. This is not rugby knowledge. Who was England's top tackler over 100 minutes? Johnny Wilkinson.
You're saying Johnny Wilkinson. And for a bonus point...
Hang on.
How many?
I'm going to change my answer.
Okay.
I'm going to say Will Greenwood. And for a bonus point, I'm going to say 14.
Will Greenwood with 14. What I can tell you is that the top tackler in the game was an Australian. So for another bonus point, who was it?
My God, this is correct. This is not a good quiz.
Well, we'll see.
From the top tackler in the game was an Australian. For bonus point, who was it? Sterling Mortlock.
Okay, and for another bonus point, how many?
16.
You're saying 16. Okay. Question number 7. We're nearly there. Which England player gave away the most penalties?
Oh my God! And you've just looked up statistics.
Pretty much. We're not messing around. There's no guessing at how many people attended matches in the whole of 2018 or anything crazy like that.
Basically, the same question. So, sorry, ask me again on another statistical question from 16 years ago. Sorry, please ask me that question again.
Look, if I can tell you that you haven't got 0.
Well, no, I haven't, because I know I've got 2 answers right, which are actual rugby questions. Sorry, say that last one again.
So, which England player gave away the most penalties? I'm learning from this. Next time you get multiple choice on all of them.
Well, next time let's make it more rugby rather than statistical. Neil Back.
Neil Back, he says. And for a bonus point, how many penalties did he give away?
Oh, for God's sake. 8. No, 8. Not 8. That's 4.
You're saying 4. Which team conceded the most penalties?
Which team conceded the most? And England. That must be England.
And how many?
Oh, my God.
Bonus points. You might need the bonus points, Dan.
I'll need something.
And there's a bonus point for both. If you can get either one right.
12.
12 for England, and how many for Australia?
10.
Okay. Fine. One last question. This one may surprise people. Well, it won't if you know the stats, but Johnny obviously made history with his World Cup winning drop goal, but how many had he previously missed during the match?
So I think that was his 4th opportunities. I think he missed 3.
So you're going with 3?
Yeah.
That is the end of the quiz, Dan. You'll be pleased to know.
Yes.
So we can.
It's just purely statistical, I felt.
Well, yeah, it was a statistical quiz, but about a subject which you have previously claimed, would be your mastermind specialist subject. So I figured we'd test you properly.
It's not sure. Let's go back and see how.
Let's go back and look at the answers. Right. So question number 1 was only one member of England's 2003 squad played in every minute of every game. You were very quick to give your answer, Lawrence Delalio. I'm afraid the answer was Ben Kay.
Was it?
It was Ben Kay. He was the only man to play every minute of every game. Kill that. So that would be. I don't know how to. There we go. Mute it. There we go. We'll come back to that in a minute. So yes. Unfortunately, no points. Nil point there for you, my friend. Second question, who made the most metres? You said Lottie Takiri. It was, in fact, Jason Robinson.
Oh.
Not only did he make the most metres, which was 142 metres, it was 88 metres more than anyone else in the game.
Well, when you said, I think you threw me off.
I did think that maybe that would throw you off when I said it could be any from either side. Yeah, probably in hindsight, the quiz was quite difficult for you and I shouldn't have made it harder.
Yeah, it was quite difficult. Go on. Oh my God, this isn't going to be complicated.
Which English player missed the most tackles during the game? You went with Phil Vickery. It was Mike Tyndall.
It was Mike Tyndall, okay.
There was a bonus point on offer here, and you said initially you said 4, and you changed your answer to 2, and the correct answer was 3. So no bonus point there, I'm afraid.
Yeah, wow.
The score, 14-all. Yeah, you got a point.
Okay, awesome.
1 point, that's good. Which team missed the most tackles? You went with Australia, which was, of course, correct. I'm scrapping the bonus point here because one thing I read said Australia with 6 and another said Australia with 24. So I'm both seeing pretty...
And what did I say?
You said 8.
Well, that's in between, so I think you've got to give me that.
Okay, well, you need the points. We'll give you a bonus point there. Go on then.
Yeah.
So you got 2 points there. Well done, you.
Right.
This one you'll kick yourself. So who was England's top tackler over the 100 minutes? You said Johnny Wilkinson, then you changed your mind and said Will Greenwood.
Was it Johnny?
It was Johnny. And you said...
I thought it was one of those two.
And you said 14...
I put Will Greenwood because he was the... I just remember him... He was a bit of a tackle machine, and he was
Johnny Wilkinson, bit of an everything machine, tackling one of his specialities. Yeah. You said 14 tackles. It was in fact 15, although Will Greenwood may have been 14. I don't know.
That's what I meant. I meant Will Greenwood was 14. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but then bonus point wise, you said Sterling Mortlock. It was in fact Elton Flatley, but you did say 16, which was the correct answer. So you get a bonus point.
Yeah, amazing.
Which England player gave away the most penalties? You said Neil Back, Trevor Woodman.
I was going to say, with hindsight, I thought it would be a front row because there were so many given at the scrum.
Well, that was, yeah. So it's Trevor Woodman. So unfortunately, yeah, Neil Back is incorrect. And you said 4. It was actually 3. So their bonus point. Team that conceded the most penalties was England. You said 12-10. It was 14-8. I'm seeing the difficulty in this quiz now. I'm learning from this. But yeah.
For me to actually get these right would be insane. No one knows this.
Well,
not even online. Not even the statistical people online know it because they can't even get how many tackles Australia.
This is a fair point, but this is what I prepared, and unfortunately, you're just not doing very well. Anyway, final question was obviously about Johnny and his drop goals. Good knowledge. 3 missed drop goals prior to the World Cup winning one. Obviously slotted a few in between, but he missed one in the 23rd minute, one in the 72nd minute, and one in the 90th minute. Where Elton Flatley, by contrast, missed 1 penalty and 1 conversion. So it could have all been over. Bizarrely, despite his legendary form with the boot and his notoriety for winning the World Cup with it, he wasn't having his best day with the boot during that final.
But that was only from a drop goal perspective, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah. So he missed 3 drop goals and a conversion over the 100 minutes. So in real time, he missed 2 drop goals and 1 conversion. But in real time, Elton Flatley missed one penalty, one conversion.
Right.
So it could have all been over.
I
think that says a lot about, a lot of people will think that World Cup was won by Johnny Wilkinson's boot, which the final thing obviously came off his boot, but as we know, it wasn't his best drop goal, even that one. But yeah, he wasn't having his best day. So I think that just...
Drop goal I've ever seen.
Hey?
It's the best drop goal I've ever seen.
Sweetest. Maybe not the best, but the sweetest. Don't get me wrong, went between the posts, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
So I think the lesson learned here is that difficult quizzes are not really your thing. Statistical quizzes, not really your thing.
I look forward to next week when you have to answer a quiz about what age was I when I scored my first try in the right-hand corner or something.
You've never scored a try, so that's an easy one.
Touché.
Maybe what I should have done was what I had originally planned, which I found this little online quiz where I ask you a series of questions and a computer spits out an answer as to what position you should play. But we'll save that for another time because I think that would be interesting.
Yeah.
There you go, guys. Apologies. When I read it first time round, I thought, yeah, this quiz looks good. It's about the World Cup. It's interesting. And then, of course, in hindsight, I'm realising that it's really easy when you've seen the answers. Not so much when you're hearing for the first time. Maybe that quiz would have worked better with multiple choice.
Maybe those sort of quizzes, like if you ask like which player in the World Cup final scored a try for Australia or something like that, that makes it better rather than which player for Australia ran 141 metres, which was incidentally 40 shorter than Jason Robinson.
Well, on that particular question, the extra detail wasn't required. There were no bonus points available. All you had to say was Jason Robinson.
Well,
that one I'm okay with. That one you should have been able to get.
Listeners, I am so sorry. Andy can get a bit geekoid sometimes, and he seems to have taken it to extreme. At my respect,
I have taken it to extreme. I put my hands up, going through it with Dan and seeing how badly he's just done. So badly, in fact.
80%?
Well, I think 3, 4, 5, 6 points out of quite a few more than that. So.
Wasn't there only 7 questions? That's pretty good.
Oh yeah, but we're counting bonus points, so unless they don't count in the available tally, we should perhaps put this down to a lesson learned and move on, and hope no one was listening. What do you think?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that would be a good one. Yeah.
Let's move on and talk about something a little more current then. The squad. Obviously, it's been announced. In our last episode, we made some predictions. We weren't a million. Well, I say we weren't a million. We predicted our 23, I think, didn't we?
I think we made some good predictions. And one prediction I actually said at the end, and this isn't me just trying to sell myself here, is one player who might be left out would be Danny Care, and he was.
Yeah, you asked me if of all the players in there, who do I think might not make the cut, and you did say Danny Care was an option, and yeah, he's not included. And I don't know. Part of me when I saw that thought, I was a bit annoyed, and then I kind of thought, well, actually, am I that disappointed? Like, I don't know. It because Dan Robson's been included, and we've been calling for him for some time, and because he's kind of a like-for-like replacement for Danny Care, I feel like the squad has that Danny Care-esque element to it. So I'm less concerned. Does that make sense?
It does. It does completely make sense. It's a shame for Danny Care. I think Danny Care is a great player, played well. But I think I'm similar to you. Dan Robson is a really good player. What I find weird is I think there's times where Dan Robson's inclusion would have made more sense than it does now.
Yeah, certainly to at least have seen him playing an England shirt.
Yeah, and fair enough. In the autumn, as Eddie said, he was injured, so they couldn't really get the look of him. But
yeah, they missed a trick in South Africa. They had opportunities and didn't take them.
Yeah.
And that's really what a big part of what the tour was about was if you're going to take, as we discussed back then, if you're going to take uncapped players, then you need to have a look at them. Otherwise, what's the point in taking them? But whatever has happened since, he's obviously done enough to get himself, back in contention. And I think more than in contention, because I'm looking at the squad now. A few names I don't really know a huge amount about, but it looks like Ben Youngs and Dan Robson are going to be the two in the 23.
Yeah, I believe he's only two scrum half.
They are the only two, so we will obviously see him. So yeah, great opportunity for him to claim the shirt. And obviously Danny Kerr is there in the background, so if it goes horribly wrong, Danny will, I'm sure, get another shot. I don't think it's all over for him.
This is what's quite interesting, because do you remember last year when Ben Youngs got injured and Richard Wigglesworth had to come in?
Yes.
One of the things that I thought was the issue is because there'd only ever been two scrum halves, the fact that a new scrum half had to learn the calls, the moves, everything. Whereas if, for argument's sake, Ben Youngs got injured this time and Danny Kerr came in,
he knows it.
He knows it, and as does Richard Wigglesworth, because he had a few more squads. So I think we're a bit more.
But we're a bit safer in that department.
I still find it weird that you only named two, bearing in mind that did impact us quite a lot last time round.
Yeah, I never really understand the 36-man squad is what they've selected, but why can you only have a 30? Surely you can have a squad of whatever you want at this stage. It's the 23 on the day that matters, because you can call people up at any time you want. I don't. Yeah. I
think it's an agreement with the rugby clubs as to how many players they'll take.
Right. Okay.
I think there's that agreement, and I think there is actually a Six-Nation ruling as well about how many you can name in your squad.
Oh, but yeah, you can name 36, but you can chop and change as much as you want. So maybe they should have taken Danny Kerr to they were out in Portugal, I think they were, or they are.
Yeah, they went.
Maybe they should just take Danny Kerr anyway, and he could be the water boy, but actually he trains. Sneaky.
Yeah.
Mike Brown inclusion. I kind of almost feel like, why? With what, what's the thinking behind that? You've made such a huge commitment to Elliot Daly at fullback, with so many options on the wing. There's no room for Mike Brown as a fullback to play on the wing. I mean, I get his cover, but yeah, I don't know. I can't see him being involved.
I half get it. Elliot Daly has been put fullback, and don't get me wrong, Elliot Daly is such a good player, but I don't think he's made that position his own yet. But I think it's almost a case of we just need somebody just in case Elliot Daly struggles. Like under the high ball, I know Elliot Daly has had some struggles, and against a team like Ireland, for example, that could be a big thing, because Ireland will, with Conor Murray, that it may be the case that suddenly Eddie Jones sees after 20 minutes they're bombarding Elliot Daly.
Wants that option.
He's not managing it. Yeah, who's your best high ball option? Probably Mike Brown.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, it could also be what we just said on the South African tour, that he's still there as a sort of almost like a kind of playing coach for Elliot Daly, just to help him own that position. I mean, there's no evidence for that whatsoever, but maybe. It just that's the one that for me he certainly wasn't on our radar when we discussed it last week. I kind of felt like his ship had sailed, but clearly Eddie doesn't think so, and so he's still there, still got his shot. And bottom line, if the team that he picks does well and gets when the team that he picks does well and wins the Grand Slam, I don't really care who was in it.
That's very true.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether or not Mike Brown is there with and in genuine contention, or whether there's some other thinking behind it. Whether we ever find that out, or just have to make assumptions, who knows? Any others? Devoto's obviously is included. I don't think he's a newbie, right?
No, well, he's coming. He's basically coming for Lazowski.
But has he played? He hasn't got any caps yet, has he?
No, he's not capped yet. He's playing really well for Exeter. I say he's not capped yet. I'm sure he's not capped yet. I may be wrong there, but I'm pretty sure he's not capped yet. He is playing really well for Exeter. He's a great player. I'm happy to see Devoto there.
And Thorley, obviously Gloucester.
Yeah, no, he's a newbie. I'm quite surprised he's in.
Yeah.
I think he's a really good player, and I think he's playing well, showing a lot of promise. I personally can't see him making any decision with him 23 his own.
Is it part of Eddie's? He's chosen not to call. He's chosen not to call them apprentice players, but is it all part of that same game? Is he just getting people? Always throw in a couple of wild cards with no intention of actually using them, give them that experience of being around the team. Not that I think I get that, but it's something that he's obviously been doing. Maybe it's more of the same. It's a hard
one to know, because someone like Courtney Singer, who I guess when we first saw him, we were probably thinking he's a bit of a wild card. He's now actually really owned a position.
Yeah, but he's offered England an entirely new dynamic out on the wing. We haven't really had that kind of player. Certainly for a long time, it's been about, especially in the Eddie Jones era, it's all been about pure pace and nothing more. And now we've got, maybe not quite Lomu, but he's much more of that ilk of player, isn't he? Big, strong, try and run through people as well as around them.
Yeah,
almost like having another centre, out wide.
Well, yeah, Ollie Fuller, he's going to get an England opportunity at some point. As it turns out, that's now. I'm not anti it, because I don't think that anybody has been completely left out for him. Like,
yeah,
sometimes when you see players come in and you're like, this is ridiculous. Why is not, for example, why is Dan Robson not on the tour, whereas Jack Maunder is, or whatever it may be? I don't think that's the case for Polly, so I'm not too bothered by that one.
Fine, and finally, JJ's back.
Yes.
So there's. This probably leads on nicely. We haven't gone into the forwards, so we'll sort of cut back to it in a moment. But I ran a Twitter poll this week. Some of you will have seen it and voted on it. It actually came, she's been begging me to give her something to do with the pod. My wife, who's getting into rugby now, and I've told her it's this is not for her. But she's insisted, and she keeps on banging on at me, and so she tweeted in the end, rather than asking me, she tweeted the pod to ask if we would run a poll on Henry Slade. Rate or slate, to see what people thought, because obviously you and I have had very different opinions.
Who named that, you or Lucy?
Huh?
Who named that, you or Lucy?
Lucy named it, to be fair.
Oh, good for her.
But yeah, so I thought, do you know what? You've come to the podcast as a listener, so I got to take you as seriously as anyone else. I appreciate that you've come to the pod rather than to your husband, but yeah, so I popped.
I'm gonna get in the back door, Luce. That is disgraceful, man.
So yeah, we ran the poll, and you'll be pleased to know that the results very much fell in your favour. With I think it was about 77 people. I'm just pulling it up now to confirm. Here we go. 75 of you voted.
Yeah.
68% rate, 32% slate. So it's by no means unanimous, but certainly it is unanimous. But it's
just slightly less than what I got on the test earlier.
Slightly more than you got on the test earlier. Oh, you mean the slate, 32%?
It's. I think it's small.
Yeah, the question was Henry Slade as England's permanent 13 to discuss.
Oh, wow. So that's quite a good result.
So it wasn't just rate or slate Henry Slade as a player. It was the question was based on whether or not people see him as the permanent 13. And I'm guessing right now JJ is his biggest competition, right?
I would have thought so.
So that's interesting.
You are, but by the way, just to pre-warn yourself and listeners, the cleaner's turning up and my dog's going mental. So you are about to hear some.
Tell the cleaner to leave.
Interesting. Well, the problem with doing that is the alternative.
As in the mess?
As in I have to clean.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. I think everyone would agree. We'll run a poll. I think everyone would agree that that's what you should do. So yeah, I'm guessing you're pretty happy to hear that that 68% of our listeners or our followers on Twitter, at least, agree with you on the Henry Slade matter. I'm still not convinced, but I'm open to seeing myself proved wrong. I know he was better than he had been in the autumn, but I don't know. I'd still like. I haven't seen JJ in an England shirt for some time, and you know there was a time when he was pretty special. So I think it'll be interesting to see how that affects things moving forwards. He was obviously a go-to for Eddie back before he got his injuries.
Yeah, I agree. Like Jonathan Joseph was his go-to, and rightly so. JJ had a sort of season or two where he just came out, offered something new, scored tries for fun, and he was, real breath of fresh air. But then I thought towards the end, when I said towards the end, before his sort of extended period out, I just thought he was slightly off form compared to what he had been. So the timing was right for Slade to come in, make it his own. For me, at the moment, Slade is the man, but that's because JJ's been injured. And I'd love to see JJ really fight for that position. I think we're in a good health-wise, a good healthy place for 13.
Definitely. Okay. Looking at the forwards, then, I think the other thing that we said last week, we were talking about who potentially wouldn't be involved, and we said, who did we say?
I can't remember. Don Armand.
I think that one. That's a ship that has sailed, and it's now beyond the horizon. I don't think there's any point in going into that anymore. There's clearly something there that has that's ensured that he's just not getting a look in, and I don't think we'll ever know what it is.
It's a bit weird.
Maybe until after Eddie has left the England job. But no, I'm thinking, the Bath number 8.
Zach Mercer.
Zach Mercer, who's not been included.
Yeah.
And we'd actually picked him in our 23, but equally said we didn't think he'd make it, and we didn't think he'd be in the squad, or we thought that there was a good chance he wouldn't be, because obviously Eddie's a big fan of
a big number 8. Eddie loves a massive number 8.
And he's got it obviously because Billy's back. So he's got his big number 8.
Hughes.
Say again?
So's Nathan Hughes.
Nathan Hughes, yeah. So he's got his 2 big number 8s. Wilson has obviously been a number 8 for him, in the autumn, and did fantastically well. So he's got a third option there. So yeah, I'm not massively surprised. Looking at that, I think he's got options, and maybe Zach Mercer was unfortunate to just miss out, and maybe it came down to Wilson or Mercer. And on that basis, I think I'm happy with the decision, if that is what it came down to. Although I probably would have had Mercer instead of Hughes.
I'm not unhappy. I think it shows a way to play. I think it lacks creativity, that decision, but Eddie's never hid behind what he sees as number 8 and what he sees as needed at that position. So I don't think, I'm certainly not going to argue it, because I don't think it is a big surprise.
No, and we've got big ball carriers who can make yards, who can offload, and that ultimately that's what we've seen working for the big teams. So, that's not to say that Zach Mercer can't do that, because he can and he does. But it's just he lacks the bulk that these other guys have got, and he obviously he's able to work around that. But yeah, what Eddie's looking for is size, and when you've got options like Billy V and dare I say it, Nathan Hughes, it's hard to argue with that if you've got a game plan that requires it. So probably not a massive surprise, and like I said, we sort of semi-predicted it last week. So other than that, I think things look pretty much as expected. Obviously, Dylan Hartley is injured, so he's not involved. You did mention that you thought there was an injury going on, and we weren't sure what that was going to mean. I think the rumours are that there's a possibility he'll be back in time for the Wales game, Whether that's Eddie saying that, which would suggest that he's very much still, an important part of Eddie's setup, or whether that's just the press saying it, and we'll see what happens if he does become available, whether or not he's called back in. But obviously, in the meantime,
I'm sure he will be.
I'm
completely sure he will be.
Apart from anything else, for the reasons we've already talked about, with Owen Farrell and the captaincy, which we won't go into. But
we won't. Eddie actually backed those points up as well.
Yeah, he has specifically said that one of the things Owen needs to work on is his ability to talk to the officials, and the way to do it. He said he's not very good at dealing with the officials, and your captain absolutely has to be. You can't throw a tantrum as the captain. You need to be able to. You want to be able to influence the officials if you can, but ultimately you need to be respected by them. And I don't know. There's something not quite there, and I think that's one of the reasons why I'd be concerned if Owen Farrell was our only option at captain.
Yes, yeah. I think Dylan Hartley is definitely a big part. I think he will be back. The only way I can't see him taking part is if both Jamie George and Luke Cowan-Dickey have just unbelievable couple of amazing games. Yeah.
In which case, he needs to leadership. Maybe that's where Big Joe comes back. Although he's just too quiet. He's too quiet. I like the idea of him. He strikes me as like a nice guy. Maybe that's a good balance.
Yeah, it's
maybe having like a Joe Launchbury and an Owen Farrell. You got kind of good cop, bad cop.
It's interesting because Eddie this week, and people and actually I mugged off Eddie for something he said this week, which is again taken completely out of context. I was unfair to do it, but Eddie said about Johnny Sexton and about how he has for referees and things, and everyone took that as, Eddie's saying they favour him. Eddie then went on to say that was because he'd earned his rights with the referees, because he's a world-class player, because of the way he conducts himself. Now, don't get me wrong, Owen Farrell's a world-class player, but Owen Farrell hasn't had the opportunity in that leadership role to interact with the referee. I actually think Joe Launchbury would have respect for referees, because I think the way he sort of conducts himself on a pitch, the referees would respect. They would respect that Joe Launchbury is not the sort of guy who's going to just run up and shout anything in his face. But if Joe Launchbury brings something up, it would likely be because there was a genuine incident he wants.
100%. I don't think there's any question about whether or not the referees would respect Joe Launchbury, and I think they would listen to him. I think my issue would be whether or not Joe Launchbury is vocal enough to find that balance, because you want to be respected by the referees, but you look at someone like a Jono back in the day. He knew when to talk to the referees, he knew when to talk to his players. He was very vocal, and I don't know, maybe it's just me. Joe Launchbury just seems like the sort of the quiet guy that's simmering, and obviously he's brutal and he's dangerous on the pitch and he's brilliant for England. But I don't know, is he vocal enough to lead the side as the captain, or does he like to kind of listen and get on and do a job?
I think a good people to ask here would be Wasps fans who had seen him like captain.
Yeah. Well, that's a very good point. He's obviously proven his leadership abilities in that respect, hasn't he? So, guys, let us know if you're a big Wasps fan and you've obviously been following him. Let us know why that is not the case. Let us know why he would be a good England captain. And not just Wasps fans, anyone who's got an opinion. If you believe that he would make a good captain, let us know. If you think that he wouldn't make a good captain, let us know, because it'd be an interesting one to discuss. Dan's obviously said a few times that he sees Joe Launchbury as one of the big leaders of our lads. So be interesting to hear your thoughts.
I'll be interested to hear. I do think it's too late for that now, though.
It probably is. But we want leaders, don't we, in the squad, in the team, and more than just the captain. So I think World Cups, there are games where you play very different looking sides, and you've got to throw someone in as captain. And you want them to be genuine leaders, not just token captains, because you've got to pick someone. Just pick the fly half, or pick the the number 8 or whatever it might be. So I think it would be good to have genuine contenders across the board. So we'll see what happens. The last thing I want to talk about. So we are planning. Oh, we've got some funny noises going. A reconnection. Your connection is poor.
Hello.
Yeah, you're back.
Hello, mate.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can. I'm sorry, I don't know what's happening. I don't know why the hell this is going on.
You've got shit internet.
Yeah, it is. I'm at Cyrus, but every internet and everything else is absolutely fine. So I don't know why.
Should be at your own house.
Yes.
Okay, where was I? I'm just going to move on to the next bit.
Yeah.
Right, so finally, before we call time on today's episode, and in the wake of the Twitter poll I ran on Henry Slade, what I thought we would do is every week I'm going to run a poll on Twitter. I'll try and get it on Facebook too. I'm sure there is a way. And obviously you can email us if you've got opinions and things. But basically what I want to do is put together a social media side. And by which I mean we will present one position every week. We'll present the obvious choices. We'll present the obvious choices for that position. And we'll find out from you guys who you want to see. And obviously over the course of 15 weeks, we'll put together England's social media starting 15, or certainly up from as far as our followers are concerned, because I think it's all well and good Dan and I having these conversations and debating what the team should look like every week, but it'd be very interesting to hear what you guys think. I know that certainly things like the inclusion of Dylan Hartley, there's a lot of people that don't think that he should be part of this side, so we'll see what you guys think. Likewise, Henry Slade, 68% of you may rate him, but do more than that rate someone else instead of him. So it'll be an interesting way to see what the side looks like and then compare that with what we've said as we head obviously towards the end of the year and the World Cup. Sound like a plan? You like the sound of that, Dan?
Sounds like a good plan to me. I like the sound of it. The social media 15 as such, obviously over those 15 weeks, no doubt people will get injured and that'll have to change dramatically, but
well, what we'll do is we'll cut at the end when we've almost got our team. If there are any obvious, sort of selection issues in terms of injuries or form, we'll do a sort of a last minute dash to find out, if anyone's changed their mind about anything, or possibly put together a couple of different teams based on what people have said and get you to vote on which one you agree with. But we'll cover that off nearer the time. We'll also come up with a better name than the social media 15, but that's what it is for now. So yeah, guys, get in touch on Twitter, Facebook, everywhere. You'll find us at England Rugby Pod. You can get hold of us obviously on email, englandrugbypod@gmail.com. And yeah, keep tuning in. Rate us, review us on iTunes. We'll read those out. Obviously, it's always good to hear what people think. And we've been getting some really good feedback from you guys. So, and also with the quizzes, we've obviously learned a bit of a lesson today. Dan apologises for being so poorly educated, on what he claims to be his specialist subject. But let us know what sort of things you'd like us to quiz one another on in the future.
To be my specialist subject.
Dan, we're at the end of the episode now. Just say goodbye.
Well, guys, thanks very much for listening. Our numbers are actually up and are looking good, so please keep sharing it. We'd love to spread this as far wide as possible, and we'll catch you next week.
Take it easy, guys.